Hey everyone, Brian Zane here. Now, we all have a pretty basic idea of what professional wrestling is and how it's presented. There's a standard, a norm if you will, but all over the world there are lots of really cool, hardworking companies that are trying to think outside the box and stay one step ahead of the status quo. This week I'm going to shine a light on one of those companies.
For this is Underworld Wrestling, the end of all things.
I'm taking a closer look at Underworld Wrestling, a promotion based out of Australia, a project that was originally funded by Kickstarter. It takes inspiration from a lot of promotions and match types over the years, building contenders based on a unique system of points and rules. While I've talked in the past about how adding rules to wrestling can be a detriment to it, in this case, Underworld is able to make it work in their world and make for what could be a very compelling product. Let's begin with the overall story being told in Underworld. According to their lore, this organization's been around for hundreds of years, started by a long-standing crime family with ties to the occult. You don't get much of a lengthy backstory, you're pretty much dropped right into the middle of things in episode 1. They don't catch you up on anything. If you want more information, their website has a lot of exposition and biographies for several pivotal characters in the company, which is a nice touch. The league is run by a man named Lord Mark Williamson who wants to win all the gold in Underworld to bring about the apocalypse. I'm guessing the rest of the roster is actively trying to stop him from doing that, but it's never really made clear in that first episode. As part of this underground fight club, the wrestlers fight in an attempt to earn points. A pinfall earns you 1 point, a knockout or a submission gets you 2, a draw or disqualification results in no points, and you can lose all your accumulated points if you strike the official. Wrestlers work to collect enough points to challenge the champion for a title match. In the men's division, that means wrestlers would have to win between 4 and 8 matches in order to earn a shot, half that much for women. It's all relative to how big the divisions are at the moment. Now here's where things get really interesting. Each match has a standard time limit of 10 minutes. The goal is to win your match within those 10 minutes. If nobody wins by then, another wrestler can enter the match and the clock resets. So a third man or woman could just swoop right in, totally fresh, and possibly steal points from the other 2 wrestlers. Hypothetically speaking, a match could begin with 2 men, then end with 4 or 5 or 6, but they haven't gone that crazy. Well, not yet. I think the point system works really well for this promotion. It's very similar to Impact Bound for Glory series, but it can take a lot less time for a wrestler to earn a championship match than an Impact. And if a challenger were to lose, they would just return to the back of the line with whatever points they had left over, if any at all. No constant back-to-back rematches like we see in WWE, for example. I think the rankings and the points carry a lot of weight here, and when a promotion treats that kind of thing with legitimacy and they treat it very respectfully, it makes the show better overall. And on paper, I really like the rules in place regarding the time limit and allowing new wrestlers to enter the fray. To my knowledge, I can't recall that being done on a consistent basis anywhere else as just a general rule for their matches. I think it opens the door for a lot of wild finishes. I look forward to seeing it implemented more as the show goes on. Underworld utilizes the talents of almost 24 wrestlers, managers, and announcers from Australia and New Zealand, most of whom have retained their characters from elsewhere on the independent scene. You don't get much of a backstory for these wrestlers in the first episode, they just show up and wrestle. To me, it reminds me of certain characters in Lucha Underground. Now, there are some characters, some wrestlers, who have a different gimmick than what they do outside of the company, but a lot of them have pretty much the same look and in-ring style. The same goes for some of the guys here at Underworld. So if you're like me and you're kind of ignorant to the whole Australia indie scene, you have no context or basis for any of these wrestlers outside of Underworld, it's kind of a blessing, so you won't be confused by conflicting, characteristics and storylines. Some of the characters like Lord Mark Williamson is pretty established early on of who he is and what he's about, and some characters are kind of like that too, but for the most part, we're still kind of in the dark about a lot of the men and women in this show, and will hopefully be expanded upon as the show continues. But remember, the official storyline website that explains all of the characters is your friend. As far as the in-ring work, I have no complaints. It looks very good, very exciting stuff, pretty standard fare for your higher level indie fare. The fact that knockouts are allowed now, I think could make for some more interesting variations of finishes that I'm not used to seeing, so I'm really curious to see where they go with that. The one problem I have with this show is, for all the work they've put into fleshing out the story of Underworld and all this world building they're doing, there is a jarring lack of atmosphere. When I hear about an underground, demonic fight club that's been around for centuries, I'm envisioning in my head the ring is in some old ballroom with cobwebs and gothic imagery and columns and gargoyles and shit. Instead, you just see black curtains on the walls of some warehouse or armory in Australia. They've added metal gates and some dudes in black robes at ringside, but compared to everything else, how plain the setting all is, it just looks kind of cheesy to me. They try and gussy up their show with video filters and transitions, but it's just window dressing. The look just does not match the vibe that they're going for here. Another way I would describe this show right now is Lucha Underground without a budget. They have a story that they want to tell, they're building a world, and the in-ring stuff is great, but their setting is super underdeveloped. If Lucha Underground had a show and like they ran in a venue that was really drab and boring compared to the Temple, I think people would have a different opinion of that show than what the overall consensus of Lucha Underground is today. It's not a deal breaker per se, but I do want to be wrapped up in this story they're trying to tell me, and the setting right now just kind of takes me out of it. So based on what I've seen from the inaugural episode of Underworld Wrestling, I believe that the combination of special match rules and a point system gives this promotion something to make it stand out. It makes it unique, and I think that it has a lot of potential and upside. I'm very intrigued by the story they've begun to tell, and I like that there's a lot you don't know because it compels you to keep watching. The wrestling is there, the story is there. All they need to do is find a better venue or a set that better fits the mood they're trying to put out, and then I think things will really improve. Underworld Wrestling is soon going to become available on Amazon Prime Video, but you can watch the full unedited first episode on their PivotShare site, the link to which I've included in the description. Their next taping is on August 17th in Victoria. For more information about this organization, you can check out underworldwrestling.com. If you've seen Underworld, let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. And if there's a single independent show or a cool promotion you think I should look at, let me know about it, send it my way, or just tell me about it, and I might give it a shot. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.